Hey, what's going on everybody, and a warm welcome back to the Whiskey Cove. And on today's episode, we look at 5 of the worst whiskies for 2022. You know the drill, run that video. Alrighty then folks, before we get into today's video, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. So many of you have been supporting the channel by subscribing, and I just appreciate it, every last one of you. So we're kind of getting towards the end of the year here, and we're just going to do a couple of kind of like these tier lists for best whiskies and worst whiskies of the year. Kind of like a little bit of an award ceremony, which is why I'm wearing this blazer. I kind of feel like a children's party magician with the shirt on, but hey, it's that time of the year, these are the awards, we have to celebrate that, correct? So let's kind of delve into this list then. So starting from 5 and work our way up to number 1. So just as a bit of a disclosure, I think it's fair to say these whiskies for me personally weren't the greatest at all. They didn't match up with maybe my palate, but maybe for you at home or some other folks, these might be good whiskies. But however, for me, they just completely missed the target for one way or another, which we'll go into. So coming in at 5 on this list, that is going to be Hidden Barn Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. This is batch number 1. So with this one, I did a review on it as well, and I've drunk a fair bit at this point to be able to kind of give a good kind of review or reflection on this whiskey. It's just misses the mark completely, this one for me does. It tastes, like I said in the review, it tastes like a yeasty, bready kind of product. It kind of tastes like someone has this like raw bread and just poured the whiskey over it and kind of caught the runoff and just bottled it. I think that might be a little bit harsh on this whiskey, but I think what they did, because there was a lot of publicity and press around the brand and the product and the owners, that they just wanted to get something out. And this is only made up, I think, of like 5 whiskey barrels, so there's not much blend in there at all. And you know, if I could give them, my advice would to be, they should probably have just sat on it. I know they wanted to probably get whiskey out sooner, and this is their own distillate, and I appreciate that. But for me, those flavors, kind of like those yeasty, funky notes, just wasn't good enough for me. So that's why this is coming in at number 5 on today's list. So then coming in for bottle number 4 on the worst whiskies for 2022 for me is going to be George Dickel and Leopold Bros 3-Chamber Rye. So this was an interesting collaboration between these two distilleries. I've had Dickel stuff before, and actually I don't mind Dickel. I think they make some really good products. And I've also tried Leopold Bros before. I've had a lot of this stuff. I have some of their other ryes here already, and I quite like this stuff. So it was quite promising to see where this product was going to go. So this isn't the greatest whiskey. I think the notes of both the distilleries doesn't quite come together for me. I think personally, for this bottle of whiskey, I think I wouldn't have bought this because I was buying a couple of other different things at a liquor store, and then when I checked out, the price just didn't sit to me. I didn't kind of think, oh, it's that much. But then when I went home, I checked the receipt. I paid like $120 for this, and I'm sorry, it's just not worth that money at all. I would put it into like the $40 or $50 whiskey bracket. I know it is a rye whiskey, and I know it's this new collaboration, and it's Leopold Bros. This stuff is generally pretty expensive anyway. But it's a Dickel bottle as well, so I paid $120 for like the Dickel number 8 recipe style bottle with like this plastic cap. It's like, come on, it doesn't exactly scream premium, does it? So they are the main reasons why this is at number 4 on this list. This could have been a lot higher, but I guess there was just worse whiskies out there this year. So that was number 4. So coming in at number 3 on this list, that is going to be Castle & Key Small Batch Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. This is the 2022 release. This is batch number 1. So I actually bought batch 1 and 2 at the same time. I ended up just getting rid of batch 2. I think I traded it for some stouts because batch 1 was just a little bit horrific. Again, much like Hidden Barn, there was a lot of press about this distillery because they're using old Colonel Taylor's distillery from way back when. So that generated a lot of press, and I just felt like they needed to push a bourbon out for whatever reason. Because this comes across super, super youthful, very grainy, very spiky. If you've ever tried White Dog, like you bought a bottle of like Buffalo Trace or Dickel White Dog and you try it, this shares more notes with that than it does with like an aged bourbon. Like I said, it's just too youthful. It feels like it was pushed and rushed out. I think I ended up paying like $60, so it's not terrible value for money. But what this whiskey bottle has done is that it's kind of burnt me towards the Castle and Key batch, because I see them around quite a lot. I think they have a couple of different ryes, and they keep releasing different bourbons as well. And I just don't think I'm going to buy another one, just because, like I said, I just felt a little bit burnt. And that's why Castle and Key came in on number 3 on this list. So coming in at number 2, that is going to be Hunt and Gatherer Canadian, aged 15 years. So on the surface, it's a Canadian whiskey. It's 15 years old, so that sounds really good. Coming in at 60.5% alcohol, and I think this only cost me like $75. So it kind of sounds like it ticks a lot of the boxes there. However, the juice in the bottle was funky. It had a lot of like grain notes as well for an older whiskey. There just wasn't kind of like those classic like Canadian sweeter and oakier notes that you come to expect from some good whiskey. I don't quite know where they sourced this from. It doesn't say, potentially Alberta. They're usually the ones that kind of do a lot of the sourcing up in Canada there. But for me, this whiskey bottle just completely missed the mark. Yes, it was a 15-year for $75, which is pretty decent value for money. But the flavor profile was just awful. There wasn't any complexity in it as well. There was just kind of like rubbing alcohol, spiky grain notes. So this one completely missed the mark. So that was bottle number 2. So then we have 1 bottle left on this list. And again, I'm trying. I know I'm not saying very positive stuff about the whiskey, but these whiskeys just haven't matched my palate, and they're just not for me, but they might be for you. With that being said, I'm pretty sure this last one probably isn't for anyone as well. So coming in at the top whiskey for 2022, or the top worst whiskey for 2022 is going to be Town Branch, and it's going to be a single barrel store pick rye. So this is coming in at 54.3% alcohol. I paid about $80 for this. I'm not going to tell you where I picked this up, because it was kind of like I said, a single barrel store pick. But however, this was supposed to be kind of like a berry, chocolate flavored, like a really nice, like spicy rye whiskey with that as well. And it's just not good. As you can see, I haven't really drunk that much. And I've gone back to it a couple of times, and I even tried it last night, and it's just not good. You don't get any berry notes, you don't get any chocolate. You get kind of like a really, I'm struggling to open this thing here. There you go. You get a nice glass top, so this might make a good decanter at the end. But you just get this kind of really, really like bitter coffee note. It's kind of like if you make like coffee through a funnel, you pour the coffee in and you're just left with the grounds, and then you leave that for a couple of days, then you sling in some whiskey through it and let that drain out. It's like tasting that. It's just so bitter. Let's go in for a nose here. And it's so many more astringent and kind of rubbing alcohol notes there as well. I don't quite know what happened with this whiskey. Maybe it was a little bit of an experiment. Maybe when they first tried it, or maybe when it was first bottled, it actually had a lot of like the chocolate berry notes that it says it should have on the bottle. And then just through the time that it's just kind of gone away and just left like this not great whiskey backbone there. Like I said, you know, I paid about $75, $80 for this. I think this is a 6-year straight rye whiskey. I haven't tried anything from Town Branch before, but again, this has kind of scared me to spend $75 or $80 on any more whiskey from them. So this was today's winner, I guess, in a way. That is the worst whiskey of 2022 for me. Number 1, we have Hunt and Gatherer for number 2. And then for number 3, we have Castle and Key Batch 1. And then we have number 4, the Dickel and Leopold Bros collaboration. And then number 5, we had the Kentucky Barn Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. So guys, again, you know, disclaimer, I feel really bad about dunking on whiskeys, because I know the massive amount of efforts and time and money that goes into creating good whiskey, but these just didn't hit the mark. So if you appreciate the video, guys, you enjoy what we're doing, don't forget to hit that like button. And also go over to Facebook group and look up Rocky Mountain Whiskey. That's kind of like a group that we like to use to kind of connect with people who watch the videos and people around the Rocky Mountain states. But it's open nationwide, and we have people from every state. So consider doing that. And as we say on this channel, as you drink through the world's whiskeys one glass at a time, cheers. Hopefully not drinking through those whiskeys one glass at a time.